Well, we think in about 5 years we'll be hitting sort of initial operating capabilities in Australia. Well, actually, you look at Australia. Australia is so reliant on aviation. We're an island and we're a big island. And so just for grandmothers to go and see their grandkids, they've got to get on an aircraft. For people who live remotely and regionally, they've got to get on an aircraft. For us to do business in our region, people have got to get on an aircraft. So it's got to be safe. And that's what I think really is the importance of those people. But I think there is advanced air mobility is coming. It is a very different system. How do we think about that as an industry, and how do we support its growth? It doesn't need to compete, but I think there's a lot of work there for us to do.
Where do you see the advanced air mobility or eVTOL or whatever you want to call it, in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, we think in about 5 years we'll be hitting sort of initial operating capabilities in Australia. Probably by 2032 there is a marker there to use advanced air mobility for the Brisbane Olympics. I hope to see you all there. But I don't think really big scalable commercial solutions are probably at the 10-year mark. But what we really see right now is our involvement with a number of the really large providers to see what the ecosystem is, what are the skill sets in that ecosystem for the workforces that we've got to generate, and then how do we work with the regulator and with the industry and in our case in Australia, the national skills framework to build those competencies so we can deliver a national workforce that's mobile to solve those problems. And I think that's the next 5 years worth of work, so that when we get to that initial operating capability, we're ready to scale faster than 10 years.
I've got a beer here to have a chat about this thing, so pride and joy. So this is an example of some of the work we do for industry. This is kind of a fairly new system. Can take 40 kilos, generally 30 kilos, but up to 40 in configuration. And we're seeing a lot of work with emergency services with systems like this. So the ability to transport fairly heavy payload that's kind of inconceivable a few years ago from an APATS system. Commercially available, 16-kilometre range, fly for up to half an hour depending on your config. Ballistic chute, you've got radar for avoidance. So we're seeing a high level of technical, also ADS-B interaction right down into kind of this commercial off-the-shelf capability, which has made them commercially, I guess the growth has just been really quite parabolic. So looking ahead in the future as we start to look towards EV-loss and BV-loss, which we know internationally is a challenge in terms of across the different regulators. We're doing a fair bit of work in the space with regulators and then also industry to look at how we can create a really great training framework to support that. CAS has released some last year, some really great guidance and some framework, but we know internationally there's still a bit of a misalignment. So that then leads into advanced air mobility as well, which is that next stage which Glenn spoke about. But for us here, it's not even just about industry. We're resourcing right through from our secondary education. So we're really creating that complete training pathway out into industry, and that's really part of our mandate to support that growth both here and internationally.
So are you guys doing any work? Because we've had presenters at APATS, try and talk about eVTOL, and from a taxi type market. Are you guys in that or working towards that? Or
that's that advanced air mobility ecosystem. So that's the work that Ryan's been doing to frame what the job families will be in this new model of doing things. Because when you speak to not just one of them, you speak to many of them, they see a different model for how a vertiport might run versus an airport. How then authorities for release of whether it is a cargo or it is a person movement. And so how do you then build the workforces, confirm the workforces, confirm the regulations so you can design the training package. That's what Ryan is, in my view, in Australia at the leading edge of.
100%. And we know that because it is such a huge leap in technology for aviation, that it has a real global approach. Right? And so there is that kind of unifying piece across the regulators. How do we ensure that we have a compatible training framework across FAA, CASA, EASA, so that we don't stifle the innovation? So from a collaborative piece, that we found that really exciting to be able to lend kind of the expertise we have here to work overseas and to see that kind of pushing towards that same objective in the coming years.
Just out of curiosity, if I wanted to buy one of those, how much?
Well, you've got to get licensed first, so
all right, so let's
we can help you with that. No, look, something like this, and this is what I say is amazing. around probably the 50 to 60,000 mark, depending on your configuration, winching, batteries, etc., charging. Yeah, but again, that price point 6 years ago, we were buying something that was a tenth of that size for that amount. So that's where we've seen that the rapid cost with that tech advance has just made it so accessible, which is fantastic.
Some of these drones have systems that are equivalent to aircraft that are currently being flown by major airlines in terms of anti-collision, coordination, and those types of things. So, hence, people will talk about advanced air mobility of it'll never happen. It isn't. It's going to be when, because the technology is moving that fast.
That's right.
It's a case of all of us, as I said before, the industry, the regulator, and the training, being able to move to the commercial needs.
And the cost is not going to be.
No.
Cost is not going to be.
No, that's right, 100%.
Capabilities are endless.
Yeah, and the efficiencies in maintenance, obviously with our experience and even the way we do maintenance changing to become a far more cost-effective model. That's exciting as well, because I think we have an opportunity to innovate in that advanced air mobility space, and then also bring some of that back into the conventional MRO environment, where we know that with regulation and safety, it's been really difficult to see areas of innovation. I think this is going to be a great safe testing ground to be able to do that and progress with the rest of aviation.